Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
I had everything going so well. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
Greetings, programs. This is why we do this show live. So today, Dave and I are joined by Dave Baker from Trenchworx. We'll be getting into all that and talking about all kinds of goodness. Dave, what do you got for us first?
What have I got for us first?
Yeah.
Well, I figured, okay, so first of all, just say thanks very much, Dave, for coming on the show. Dave has been super busy the last month or so, maybe longer.
Yeah, it's been that way for 15 years. Every day I think we'll have a break, but it never happens.
It's going to calm down soon, he says.
One of these days.
Any day now. Any day now. So we really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to chat with us and talk about Trenchworx and the cool stuff, the cool, innovative, fun stuff that you're doing, and where your sort of engineering drive comes from. So I'm excited to reveal that to the world. Yeah, so that's what we'll do today. But the first thing that we usually do is talk we talk about sort of hobby stuff that we've been working on. So first up, I'm going to ask Jake, what kind of
in the last week, so I for my personal hobbies, I played a bunch of ice hockey, which was great, and then I finished cleaning Aethon Sean. I am blown away by how many pieces that model is. I was like, oh, he's a Space Marine and he's a captain, so he's probably like 12 pieces or something, or 13 pieces. He's got to be 40 something pieces. Like he's got like a 3-part base that has his foot on it, and then like his leg is like, that leg is like 3 pieces, and his other leg is like 4 or 5 pieces, and like it's just wild how many pieces. I was like, oh, this looks like a pretty straightforward model. But so I finished cleaning him, demold lining him, got rid of all the burrs, did that. That took like an hour the other day. And I've got what's the other guy? I've got Lysander. Lysander is essentially built. He's fully built except for the shield, so I can get to him. But he's all set. But yeah, they're really nice kits. Like just comparing them to the original medals from 20 years ago. The old ones are great models, but the new ones are just, they're so much nicer. There's so much more detail. There's so much more to them. The size is bigger. Like Lysander is gigantic. But I got that done. And then I did a commission that I can't show because it's a prototype for a company. But I can tell you about it. These guys basically called the store and they were like, hey, does anybody paint miniatures there? Does anybody paint stuff there? And I went, sure. Like, what kind of stuff? And they were like, we have it's like a kit that we printed. And I was like, so is it 3D printed? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, so we can print that. We can paint that. Like, are you looking to just get stuff or do you want to paint it? Like, what are you looking for? And they're like, oh, we have a trade show coming up this weekend and we have a prototype we want to get painted. And I was like, if you don't mind me asking, like, how did you get our number? And she goes, oh, I said, do you have somebody on your staff who paints Warhammer? Because they can probably paint it. And she was like, oh, our CEO is a Warhammer guy. And he recommended we call the Warhammer store, but they were closed on Monday. So then someone else was like, you should call Alpha Omega. Like, they're a really good store. So we called you guys. It was just weird. So I was like, okay. So first I'm like, oh, it's a miniature. So I'm like, can you send me some pictures of whatever it is? And she's like, sure. So it's like this weird, it looks like an Imperial smoke detector is like the best way I can describe it. It literally is like a hexagon with like panels. It looks like a TIE fighter wing, but it's popped out 3-dimensional. So it looks like a smoke detector. And I was like, oh, like, how big are these? And she's like, oh, they're about 4 inches across. So I was like, okay, it's a smoke detector. And I was like, so what is it? She goes, so it's 3 pieces. There's like a wall mount piece. There's the back piece that clips into place. And then you click it onto the wall mount. So it's 3 pieces. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like it shouldn't be a problem. Like, you know, like when can you get it to me? She's like, oh, hopefully, you know, tomorrow. So this is last week on Wednesday. So I was like, okay. So I call back as I'm driving home and I was like, can you tell me more about it? Like, how many of these do you have total? Like, when do you need them by? What kind of material is it? Because I know with 3D printers, and, you know, I'm sure Dave will get into this, there's a bunch of different like types and like, it's all different, you know, materials and finishes and whatever. And she's like, oh, I'm not really sure. And I'm like, is it resin or is it like one of the more plastic ones? Is it thermoplastic? And she's like, oh, wait, let me get one of the engineers. So the engineer's like, it's resin. And I was like, okay, so I got to be careful where I work, right? Because we have like dogs and stuff in the house. And obviously you have to wear a mask and stuff if I would file it. So I was like, if you want me to save you some money, you guys could just paint this yourself. And he's like, really? I was like, go to Home Depot, buy a primer. And the photo she sent me, it's gray. And I was like, what do you want me to paint it? And she goes, just gray. And I was like, I don't understand. You want me to paint a gray model gray? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, you guys could just do that. Like, and I sent her pictures of stuff, you know, Space Marines. I was like, this is usually what I do. Painting something that's already gray doesn't seem like the best use of your money or my time. They were like, well, we've never done this before. And I was like, it's super easy. Like, you're just painting it gray. So I get on the phone with the engineer and he's like, well, there's a lot of the, you know, the 3D print. It has all these like pimples on it, basically where like all the supports were. And we just want to make sure it looks really clean. And he was very nice. He explained that because it's a detail oriented thing, they didn't want to mess it up. And he's like, we need this for a trade show. And I want someone who has like an eye for attention to detail, who's used to doing this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay. He's like, I understand it's probably not normally what you do. And like, we obviously would pay you for it. I was like, so, okay, so that's fine. I'll do it. When do you need it by? And he's like, Thursday. And I was like, this Thursday? He's like, yeah, like in 2 days. So I was like, when can you get me the prototype? And he's like, I guess tomorrow. Sweet. So I was like, listen, just so we're being clear up front, I charge this much an hour. Because it's expedited, I'm going to charge you double. And he was like, that's fine. I'm like, and whatever my materials are. He's like, sounds good. So I met him on Wednesday morning, like got up, went in my day off, met up with him. He gave me all the pieces and they weren't bad. Like they're cool. The print quality is decent. They're a little rough. And then they have like, again, like two sides of the hexagon are covered in all the support marks. Like it looked like they had hepatitis. They're covered in little bumps. So I like went home and I'm using my X-Acto sitting out on the stairs, like trying to do it outside, like cutting all the pieces off. And then I'm using a file and I'm like dipping it in warm soapy water so that like dust doesn't get everywhere. And I'm filing it down. So I finally get it done, primer coat it, seal coat it. I use this really nice, like Bear spray paint, like satin all purpose. Because at first he was like, can you paint it matte? And I was like, if I paint it matte, it's not going to look finished. It's going to look like a prototype. And I was like, you don't want it gloss. I'll do satin. And I said, if you don't like the satin, you can just spray it with a matte varnish. And he's like, okay. So I cleaned them all up. It literally took me, I probably cleaned them for 6 hours. It probably took me,
Jesus.
well, because there was like,
Yeah.
there was,
Keep going. Don't.
there was like 9-10 pieces or
I
something.
didn't mean to interrupt your roll. Keep going.
Yeah. So get everything done, meet up with the guy. And I'm like, hey, dude, like they're done. And so I was like, I'm asking, like, what do you need them for? He's like, oh, we have a big trade show that's in Japan. And I was like, when's the trade show? And he's like, this weekend. And I was like, okay, so when do you need me to get them to you for your flight on Thursday? He's like, I haven't even booked my ticket yet because I wanted to make sure you had enough stuff to finish them. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll get them done as quick as I can. So I met up with him at like, I think 2 on Thursday and handed them off. He was super stoked. Like everybody else seems really happy. I'm going to find out this week how the trade show went, but it was one of the weirdest. It's probably the weirdest commission I've ever had.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it was out there. I was like, what?
I think Dave will be able to tell us some ways to avoid that in the future.
Yeah. There's some tricks I could teach you. Don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Nice. Sorry. So one thing that we haven't done yet is say hi to everybody who's in the chat. We'll just do that quickly. Hi, Luis. Hi, Dave. Hi, Scott. Hi, Cal. Hi, Josh Sawyer is joining us. Finally working from home on a Tuesday.
Nice.
Josh Potter is here. Jess Hunt. Josh. I mentioned Josh. Sean Gleason is here. Scott says, "Hey man, we've all painted rocks to look like rocks and wood to look like wood. Painting gray to look like gray makes more sense."
I guess.
And Jess says, "This is the kind of thing that 3D print guys I work with end up having to do a lot. Lots of filing and sanding." So Dave Jez works in the film and television industry and sort of prop making and costuming. So yeah, there we go. So it's just like the film industry.
Yeah. And it was wild. I ended up going with black, not gray. I asked the guy, I was like, what color? And he's like, what color could you do it? I was like, you tell me, like whatever color this is your thing.
Let me just prime it Chaos Black. There we go.
No, again, like I said, I used a really nice like bare satin finish. They came out great. They looked really nice when they were done.
Cool.
I'll remember that paint. But
excellent. Well, let's flip over to Dave then. And
yeah.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to do any hobby stuff, but
I do actually. I have a good one.
All right, let's hear it.
So, if you remember back in 1988-ish or 9-ish, Citadel made Regiments of Renown, like the Bugman's Brewers, and so every October I pull out my copy of I think it's the Black Company or the Death Company. It's a bunch of skeletons.
Okay.
There's like 18 of them, and there's a few box sets. So I work on that every October up until Halloween, and then I pack it up and I pick it up the next year.
Right.
You work specifically on that one or on
that one? That's what I work on. I do other stuff, if I got time, but that's kind of what I'll do. And then on Halloween, I'll work on that while we're handing out candy and sit in the garage. So I've gotten past. Let's see, I cleaned them, based them, primed them. I've gotten an ink wash on it. And now I'm starting to go back and dry brush them and get the bone and a couple other plates and stuff added up on there, chainmail. So
nice.
Yeah, that's I figure I'll just do that for the next 30, 40 years, and maybe one day I'll finish it.
Awesome. I think I've got I might have that box in a box just over the other side of this monitor.
Oh, that's great. They had styrofoam. It was all divided into it. They had the little bases with the little inserts, and they could rotate. And that's a great little set. The skull, the heads are bigger, twice as big as your regular head, but whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I bet you there's probably something to do with the size of the neck and how well it's cast, right?
They had to be able to cast them. So
cast with metal for sure. Excellent. Well, we talk about some metal casting a little bit later.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. Cool. Well, I've got a bunch of stuff. I had a little bit of extra time at home with the government shutdown and my job changing a little bit, my day job. So I've done a bunch of stuff. So just quickly took photos so I didn't have to hold stuff up to the screen. Here we go. This week I worked on the clan star of mechs for my BattleTech Alpha Strike project. So now that I've got everything painted, I guess I have to go and play a game now. Is the next step. But so not cheating at all and looking at the cards, I have at the back there is a Warhawk and a Timberwolf. And then at the front, I have a Nova, a Firemoth, and a Pouncer.
See, I only know the, since I'm an Inner Sphere player.
Right.
They all have the nicknames, and Randall made a great point of saying it's like in during the Cold War, all of the Soviet jets and during World War II against the Japanese planes, the Americans and the Allies always have nicknames for what the because we don't know what they're called, right? Like no one knows that, like, oh, that's the MiG-25 Foxbat. It's like, you know what I mean? So we have like nicknames that the pilots give them. And then when you see that plane again, you're like, oh, it was this. Yep. So the Inner Sphere names for all these are in the back. That's a Gladiator. And then the one on the right, that's a Mad Cat. And then on the front left, that's a Blackhawk. The middle one is a Dasher. And the one on the right is a Puma.
Okay.
So that's all the Inner Sphere like call signs that we give them. You're like, oh, I got a Gladiator. Some of these are terrifying. Like when they designed these, the one on the bottom left, you see all the things around his wrist. Those are medium lasers. Okay. So how it works in the game is normally if you shoot a medium laser at something, you roll on the chart to see where it hits it. So head, center torso, left arm, whatever. When all the weapons are on the same limb, the idea is you can aim and then you roll all of them and then all of them hit in the same spot, which is crazy because a medium laser does, I think it's 5 damage.
Right.
Or 7, it's 7 damage for the amount of, so it's 7 damage. I think it carries 5 on each arm. So you would just do 35 damage to whatever that is. And on a medium or a light mech, that's like I blow its arm off, or like I cook through most of your armor. Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
But these look awesome, Dave. I really like the paints you picked. They read like Jade Falcon.
Okay.
But super cool.
Yeah, I went for I had the Rainforest paint, wherever it is. Here it is. It's a really nice, bright, vibrant green. I had it on my desk, and I was like, I want to use this paint. I haven't used it for anything yet. So that's how I got the color scheme. But I got those guys done. So I'm excited that they're all done. I painted up the Pouncer here for the Game Trade magazine article that I do each month.
Nice.
We're going to see the step by step. You can check that out. I've got some games of Trench Crusade coming up on the weekend, where we will probably play a Hunt the Dragon scenario. And the Hunt the Dragon scenario can be played by like a demon or a dragon or a tank or whatever.
Right.
So this is a IS2 sort of modified version that's been done by, I can't remember which creator has done it, but yeah, so it's there.
That's chonky. I like the wooden skirts.
Yeah. It's very very Soviet in that kind of approach, but yeah. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Just went extra rusty with it. I also did a whole bunch of scenery. I think I showed some pictures of the 3D printed scenery a couple of weeks ago. So I finally got all that painted up. But I'll show those photos later on. In that scenario, there are peasants that the tank chases around the board. So these are sort of 6-7 random peasants and merchants.
In the front, it literally looks like the rich dwarf is giving the other guy some like a handout. He's like, here.
Yep. That's why I posed them like that.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I've got 6 more to paint for a just in case we play 2 scenarios.
Malev just jumped on.
Cool. Hey, Malev. And I will hold this up here. So this is a Schneider tank. It's a French tank called the Schneider CA. from World War One. I printed this is an STL I got from Trenchworx. I printed it up over the week, last week, over the weekend essentially. But unfortunately, I thought it was a little bit bigger. I didn't pay attention when I was printing it. It's a little bit smaller. I need to go and print this about 35% larger.
It's like the size of the turret.
Yeah, it is kind of. But just because this one is like way oversized, but I've already painted this one now, so I will go and print this a little bit bigger.
Yeah, they should be 156 scale. So yeah, they're tiny, really. They're really
I
small.
think this one's probably close to like 135th.
Yeah, it's just
The IS2.
pump that thing up and reprint it.
Yep.
Burn
That's
some
the great
rows.
thing about 3D printing, right? Big fan of that aspect. So did those. I finished off the characters for the Sacred Cross Solera.
Nice.
These are the ones done by Patrick Keith, Bombshell. So very happy to finish those. And yeah, so I think that's all the stuff I painted, apart from the terrain, and I'll show that later on. But there's been a lot of stuff.
And for those of you at home, Dave also printed and mailed me my Trench Crusade for us. So he finished printing all these last week as well. Or last week and sent them all.
I'm off last week. So busy. Been great. Very cool. Cool. The next slide that I had on there, though, something that we always do, of course, is we thank our season sponsor, the Army Painter. Jake and I are members of the Army Painter Factory team. I wasn't sure if I should throw this up there because in our links below we have a link and a code, like a discount code, BPD5 for Build Paint Discount 5, which gives you 5% off your order. However, during the 18th birthday celebration, you can choose to get $18 off, or €15 or £12, any order from their website that is over those amounts. But unfortunately, you can't be combined with the other discount codes.
However, you can kind of pick and choose. So if you spend less than $120, you'd use our discount code. And if you spend more than an $18 difference with 5%, you would use our code.
Yep, exactly. Whichever way it goes, just use our link down below. But yeah, congratulations on the 18th, reaching the 18th birthday. And the folks, the Army Painter guys, have put up a blooper reel, essentially for their last few years of videos. Done. So you can go and check them out. What's next? Where are we at? I think next is Dave.
There he is.
Let's talk about Trenchworx. I will start off by saying this is a photo of me at the Trenchworx offices in 2019. So like June.
That was last week. Surely last week.
Yeah.
Is that an oversized Cav model on top?
Oh yeah, that's the Big Tater. That's from John Walker. He had sent it to us, and we printed it on our larger FDM printer. That was a long time ago that we printed that for him, and then we made a bunch of special runs for him. We worked for a lot of different people, but yeah, that is exactly what that is. Big Tater, I think that's what we call it. I think that's the right one.
Excellent. And I'm holding the track section for an FT17, which is another French World War I tank.
Yeah, that's a 1/10 scale, I think, is what I printed that one. Ed Pugh had wanted one, and I printed one for him at Reaper Miniatures at the time. I think I printed him one in like 1/8 scale. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff we did with that printer, and it has a box. It's like 16 by 16 by 14. It's very expensive to run. It's an engineering machine, but oh boy! And I think it can print that track in about 4 hours or so. And that was back then. So
that's crazy, yeah.
And it was old. It was old when we came in there in 2019.
All right. Nice. Excellent. So Dave, well, we've got that. What's the next picture? Okay, yeah. We'll stick with that picture for the moment. But tell us about Trenchworx. What's the general idea of Trenchworx, and how did it start, and how long have you been running, that kind of thing?
So originally, I was an engineer and a plant manager, ops manager, and I worked in the medical device business here in Salt Lake area. And I pretty much left back in about 2007 or so when our first kid was born. My wife went back to work, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break for a while. And took a couple of years off. And once I took my kid to daycare, it was like, well, what do I do now? And so all the people that I used to work for, they called me back into engineering. And I would write validation protocols and do design work and stuff for them. And then about 2010 or so, 2011, I started building machinery again. And I'm an automation engineer by training. And the machinery I bought, that's when we bought our first 3D printer. We bought a little Stratasys Mojo, and it was $5,000. And they gave you bags of polymer because it was all sealed up, and it was an FDM printer. And it had a 5x5x5 build tray. And we just printed stuff. And we would print prototype machines and prototype fixtures just before we cut steel. So we bought that printer, then we bought another one. And then whenever you have a printer, you want another one. You want better capability, faster, bigger envelope. You just go through all those cycles. And eventually we had about 4 or 5 of them. The next one we bought was called a Polyjet machine, and the Polyjet is a Stratasys machine. It's like an inkjet where it goes back and forth and it just drops down ink. So if you've ever seen the 3D printed base toppers where it's like a base and then they run across there and they'll build up a profile, that's exactly what it's doing as a 3D printer. And the Polyjet, we could hold an accuracy of about 1/1000, and one of the companies needed some miniatures made, and they were local, and they couldn't find anybody. This was all the way back in 2012. And of course, I mean, I've never seen a job I didn't want to do, especially for miniatures, right? And so I was like, oh yeah, I think we could probably do those. And so we made 20 or 30 miniatures that had been designed. And Polyjet is very stratified. It's not strong like resins that we have today. And the polymer was about $750 per liter. And we made these miniatures. It was a really expensive job, very, very expensive, but we made them. And then someone else heard about it and asked us to make some stuff. And then someone else asked for some stuff and was like, well, maybe we can make something. So we made some tanks. And that's when we did our World War I Kickstarter. But Trenchworx wasn't really real at the time. We were just kind of like, yeah, maybe this is something that'll work. And 2013 or 2014, we made a World War I Kickstarter. And I kind of realized, I was like, hey, maybe we could, work for people and help them, build stuff as like a contract manufacturer. I've always liked manufacturing. I'm a manufacturing guy. And we did that for a couple of years. Reaper Miniatures found us. Me and Paul Figgins, I don't know if you remember Paul, we would go to Gamma and we would take tanks and we would just give them to people. And we would go around for 2 days. And we did that for a couple of years. And we figured somebody will eventually hire us to do work. And they did. People found us. That's how Reaper Miniatures found us. And they were one of the larger customers that we worked for. And we built masters for them. So when they were doing bones, the ones that were digitally designed by like Bobby Jackson and Jason Wiebe, they would send us the files and we would print them for them. And then we would send them down to Ron, and then they would convert them to metal and then send them out and do all the bone stuff so that they can make the PVC models. So we did that for a while. And Reaper also hired our engineering company to make the paint machine. And Reaper was in touch with Victoria Miniatures, and then Victoria Miniatures says, hey, could you cast our resin for us? And then that's when things started kind of going crazy. We were doing stuff for a lot of different people and, making models. And we tend to do master models. So people would hire us to make the first few copies of something. and those are the paint copies that you might see on box art. And so there's stuff we can't talk about. It's under NDA, but I'm sure everybody's seen some of the stuff that we've made that's got paint on it. That's kind of fun, but it's our little secret. We just get the satisfaction of knowing that we did that. We made a lot of parts. We started doing some Kickstarters for people. So they needed Kickstarter fulfillment. So we would make, models. We made MCDM was another one that came along. And they were going to build these dragons. I don't actually have one. Well, I've got one somewhere here. But the dragon, they thought they would sell maybe a couple hundred, and they just do them in their garage. And they accidentally sold like 40,000 of them. And so Matt Colville is the fellow who did it. And they needed somebody to build them. And I was like, oh, man, that's a lot of models. That's a lot of parts. But we took the job on, and we've had a great relationship with them. And I think today we've done maybe 90,000 different resin models for dragons. So we're like, people find us. Whenever it's a dragon, they find us. And we build dragons for people. But that's when things really, it kind of escalated. Then we went a little bit another step, and then another step. And we make a lot of parts. And it was all resin. So we had 3D prints that made masters, and then we would blow the masters out to make cavitation so we can make a lot of resin. And printing was never viable at that time. You could not economically make enough parts with a 3D printer. I mean, the jobs took 14, 15 hours to print it at 10 microns or 20 microns. So as we started blowing that stuff out, we started doing metal casting. Then we started doing what did we start doing? I guess we did metal after that. We did that for a few years. And in the last probably 3 years, we started doing production 3D printing. Printers kind of got to where it could work. And you could only do small stuff like little head sprues, like that thing you had a while ago. You could do stuff like that because it was the right dynamics. We were still paying $200, $300 a liter. So we couldn't print, that big, that Schneider CA1. It wasn't practical to sell that. It is now. But like those little heads, those were perfect for it. So we did little bits and all sorts of little accessories. We did those for a while. And now, I mean, you're paying, $30 for a liter of resin. So it was very practical to print, models. The other piece of the equation was you had to be able to print without lines. So everybody who's printed, we see the print lines. And I mean, we've filed and sanded print lines. We've got 13 years of sand and print lines. I mean, we know what that's like. But in today's world, there's no print lines on things. You can print it to a certain level. Lots of different sittings you can have, and the parts look as good as the resin. So that's what we're kind of transforming ourselves now. We've stopped making, well, we haven't stopped. We'll never stop making resin, but we've shifted from resin more to 3D print for big solid chunks. And it just looks good. It looks as good as resin. Other things we do Siocast, although we're kind of pulling away from that. Siocast is somewhat difficult to make work. I can talk about that later if you want to know more about it. But we really do resin, 3D prints, and metal casting. And all of that comes from a master print. We just blow that out through the system and figure out how to do that. So this project right here, so this was Victoria Miniatures order number 31030, and they had ordered some heads. I'm not sure which ones those are from the picture. They ordered some bread bags and some shoulder pads and then some other bandoliers. So we take all those parts, we have patterns, and we've got, several thousand patterns for 3D prints, and we drag them onto a print tray, push them together, add the order number, and then that's what we ship out. So this order, somebody ordered it, a few months ago, and we sent that out. So that's kind of our business in a nutshell.
It is kind of crazy. I think I met you through Paul Thiggins, and I met Paul through the Dark Age gaming community. I think you and I probably met at LVO like 2017 or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Early 2017, or possibly at Adepticon, maybe just before that. But Yeah, I've always found it. I think regular viewers of the show will know that I am fascinated by what goes on behind the curtain. I always want to know how things are made. So
I remember when we met, you painted a car for Joey for TNT.
Right.
And then you were at Adepticon, and he introduced me because I was raving over it and saying, "Man, that's the most awesome thing I've ever seen." And you walked up, and he says, "Well, this guy painted it." And I was like, "Oh, wow!" And then we met. Right. So that was back probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah,
it sounds about right.
So that's cool. But no, I'm excited for us to go through and have a look at some of the other things. Just quickly, I'm going to pull this back, work out what we've got next. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at this slide.
Oh, yeah, so that's Queen Bargnot. And so Bill Thornhill, he sculpted Queen Bargnot for a backer kit project we did about 2 years ago. MCDM, they have a lot of followers. I mean, they have 500,000 followers for Matt Colville Dungeon Master. And so they've written all this lore and just all this wonderful stuff for Dungeons and Dragons. And he does a video series on how to be a good dungeon master. And they did a bunch of Kickstarters, and one thing led to another. And eventually they did a monster manual, and Queen Bargnot was the goblin boss. And so she owned a hideaway called Jagged Edge Hideaway. And so we did all the goblins in that project. And at the end of the project, we like to have a trophy that we can post on our wall of, okay, we finally beat her, because, that's when we ship, the stuff. And ultimately, we want to have, a whole lot of those trophies for every project that we have that's successful. But that's what this one is. And then Paul Figgins painted Bargnot.
Nice.
I think she's about 6 or 7 inches tall, by the way. She's like this big.
All right.
Big as your head.
Nice.
It's a one-piece casting.
I think that's super cool. It's a great, obviously, when you're working with so many people and you've got so many projects on the go, being able to have that, see the visual, a visual representation of slaying every project as you go along.
Oh yeah. Well, in every model, there's a story behind every single model. None of them are boring.
Yep. No, that's cool.
I think the first time I saw your stuff, I think I was either hanging out with or working with the Warlord guys at Adepticon, and John Russell had a bunch of your tank kits.
Oh yeah.
That he had at the booth. They were in white boxes, and I was like, "What are these?" And he's like, "Oh, these are Trenchworx's tanks." And I was like, "What?" And he we were checking. I was like, "Oh, these are super cool kits." That was the first time I think I saw your stuff. I believe it was at Adepticon.
Yeah, we've been our resin. The way we did our resin, the process of making the resin. You can take 2 cups of stuff, and you can pour it together, and you can put it in a cavity, and something will come out. But we kind of refined that over the years. And like I say, I'm an automation guy, automation engineer. And so we did, time motion studies. We did design of experiments where we figured out how to make it mix better. And so really we built a work cell now that can, spit out 600, 700, 800 miniatures, resin miniatures a day. The resin would come out of a pump system. We would mix it with a spoon, not an automatic system. It's just too slow. That automatic stuff is too slow. We would mix it, open pour it into a cavity, and then we vacuum it and then pressurize it. And the whole goal is to making wet stuff dry as fast as you can. If you can make wet stuff dry fast and make it look good, then you'll succeed. So our first resin was a 4-hour cure time, and that's not fast. That's horrible. And so then we figured out how to get to 2 hours. And then later on, it's like, man, we got to make too many parts. So we're doing about 20 minutes to cure our resin now. And the work time is very slow. Work time is where the resin is still fluid and can move around and fill cavities. So there's a lot of meat and potatoes and, figuring out how to make this stuff work. But I'll go back. The 4-hour cure time, we use the pressure pots, kind of like you find at Harbor Freight. Those work really well. And we had 16 of them lined up. So we would change a pot. It takes about 10 minutes to flip the molds. And then we go down the end And so we get to the end of the 16th pot, and then we come back around, and by that time, 4 hours had passed, and we changed the next one. And so our whole goal, making things dry faster, started reducing the number of pots we had, and now we only need about 3 pots. So we decreased the floor space, and then the person who's working in the work area, they just work in that one little spot. But the big key was when you make something, and you guys, if you 3D print stuff, you know what I'm talking about here. You push go, and you hope it works. And when there's a long time between when you push go and when you get the final product and find out it works, that worked or didn't work. If it didn't work, that's really bad, because it's like, well, what did I do wrong? Well, man, that was like 3 days ago. I don't know. So it's really important that you get things working as fast as you can. And so that's what we do. Even 3D printing, we're trying to make stuff go faster and faster. And, we'll burn out printers, and, we'll do all sorts of other crazy things. But you can't have print lines, and it's got to look perfect. Yeah. So all that stuff kind of congeals into just make wet stuff dry as fast as you can.
Nice.
Anyway. Oh yeah, these were some bugs. We just, I don't know, we wanted to make some ants, so we did. And I think we made them for Joey for This Is Not a Test. He never wrote rules for them, but he always wanted to. But anyway, we like bugs. So.
I thought this was a Cal Vanoni special.
Actually, yeah, I think Cal, David Cal is one of our viewers, regular viewers, and we've got a piece from Cal in the minis later on. But yeah, I think you'd definitely love these.
Yeah, they're actually, those are 3D prints. We have a little SnapTray with those guys on them, I think.
Oh, really?
And
Nice.
then the middle chunk, that's just a open pour resin, kind of like that Queen Bargnot figure. So the mold's upside down. We just pour in it, sand the base, and then throw that into a box along with the models. So, but they're fun. They're good antagonist for some Gamma World adventure or whatever it is you're playing. Fallout.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. There we go. And Cal also says, and my profession is pest control.
Perfect.
So, definitely cool. Nice. You sent me through this photo. This was
Yeah, I did. So Bill Thornhill, he sculpted this, and we make convention minis. Like we'll make the Blood Bowl convention mini for Adepticon, for Hank, and just a couple other different things. Also in our booth, we would have like a giveaway. So Bill Thornhill, he's obviously a fan of a certain TV show that's on Amazon Prime that's going to debut on December 13th of this year. And they're only going to have, one episode a week, unfortunately. But anyway, so he made this model, and we cast that up so we could give it away to people because we're all fans.
It's definitely not a zombie bounty hunter. That would be crazy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I know at Adepticon this year you had a large booth area that was shared with, so it was Resnova, Knuckle Duster Miniatures, Victoria Miniatures, and Goblin Hobbies.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in there.
Yep.
Kind of crazy.
That's a pretty solid group though.
It's a pretty solid lineup for sure.
Yeah, it was busy. It's really busy.
Didn't you do you guys printed the Victoria miniature last year? There was the last couple years, right?
Oh, you know what? Reaper does those for her. They have a 3D printing system. It's the Asiga printers that they use, and they print all of her show minis. I think there's maybe 1,000 that they give away, and they'll go into the swag bags. And then she has a certain number that she can sell.
Right.
But yeah, we haven't printed her. We do all of her other production. We do everything else except for in Australia, Aetherworks does her local Australian production.
Right.
But yeah, she'll farm stuff out between different people.
Excellent. Jake, are you searching through your Adepticon loot?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. So this is all of my Resnova dudes. I'm pretty sure you did these.
Yeah, we did those on Siocast. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
switched
think
those.
I have two teams in here that are all yours. This is who is this? This is Bauhaus. Then I've got what's this other one? This is also you guys. This is that's Mishima. And I've got
Mishima. Those are good. Those molds work really well.
I've got more Bauhaus. So I've got a bunch of Bauhaus and I've got some Mishima.
Yeah, those are the old Siocast models. Because this is one of the things we started that process like 2.5 years ago, and only recently, and we'll talk about that SnapTray stuff later. Only in the last like 4 months did we kind of conceive how to put all that stuff together into a package. And so we've switched over to Warzone, because Warzone actually got it is now in Transatlantis Games domain. They're running that system, which is kind of cool because you're going to have
Big Bob Watts.
Yeah, Bob Watts is running that. And then we get to work with them. And so we're making all of those products in SnapTrays. And the original intent for the models, my understanding is that they be 3D printed. But at the time, Siocast was all the rage. And it's like, okay, well, maybe this is the right way to go. And man, it takes a lot of energy to make the Siocast system work. When it works, great. When it works, it's beautiful models. But it takes a lot of energy to make it work. And especially across a range of 109 models, in a short time frame to get them all perfect.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard, but with 3D printing, we can get really close to what it should be. We don't have to worry about undercuts, and it doesn't rip the mold out, and it doesn't break inside the mold when you
that was the weirdest thing when we were getting going. We had talked to all the different sculptors. A lot of guys, especially guys who do it, because almost everybody we work with does like digital, and a lot of the guys didn't understand about undercuts, and we're like, because they're all assuming that you're just going to 3D print everything, and we're like, well, we wouldn't but like, yeah, we have to for this run, but eventually we won't.
Yeah.
And like, can you sculpt this slightly differently and giving feedback and stuff? Because yeah, it's weird. Like, it's not something I would think of either. But it was weird to me that we were working with a bunch of digital artists that were making masters that didn't understand. You have to make it so that like we could make copies of this.
We've gotten stuff, like somebody's wearing glasses. The panes of the glasses, there's actually a gap behind the lens and their eye, and the little the pieces that go over your ears, and it's like, man, I don't know how to build that traditionally, but you can 3D print it, But 3D printing. Every single day we figure out something new that we can do with 3D printing. Every single day. And we've been doing this 10, 15, 14 years. We have been 3D printing things. And every single day we come up with something new that we can do. Oh, let's do it this way. Oh, yeah, get rid of that. Don't do it that way anymore. And, it's only Wednesday, right? So, yeah, it's pretty fascinating. And today's world, the machines are throwaway. The resin's so cheap. You can just do so many things with it. It's amazing.
Yeah, Siocast is definitely something like in a professional capacity. I've done some miniature design in the past and worked with companies doing small minis and stuff, like working with Warzone when they were starting out, and working with Alex and Brian and kind of getting everything rolling and talking to sculptors and helping build the team and stuff. But like, and there's another guy I work with, and we had been chatting about potentially using Siocast, and the guys from Siocast are super nice. Like, I've talked to them now for like 3 or 4 years, and they always reach out to us. And they're like, hey, like, would you guys want to do anything with us? And the more we looked into it, they were like, oh, well, if you sign up with Siocast, like, we'll fly you out. We do a big class, and we walk you through how to use everything, and we teach you everything. And then, we'll fly you back home. And if you have any problems, like, we give you full support. But the more we looked into it, like, if you're somebody who's like brand new, like if Dave and I were like, we don't know what we're doing, but we have a bunch of money, we want to throw at a Siocast machine. You're like, well, it's a step up from a 3D printer technically, but it's a different thing. And if you don't know any better, you're like, well, it's bigger and it's faster, so it's got to be better. But the issue we ran into with Siocast, and again, Siocast isn't the only one. They're just like the biggest one everybody knows. The problem we ran into is the fact that they're like, well, if you buy the machine from us, you have to buy the resin from us, or not the resin, the mixture that they sell. And they're like, you have to buy the thermoplastics from us. And so we were like, I mean, that's cool, but then it basically turns into like, they're your only avenue, because if you use any other thermoplastics, it voids your warranty. So then you're on your own. They won't cover anything. They won't give you any more tech support. And I was like, my partner was like, dude, tomorrow they could just decide they're going to double the cost of their thermoplastics. And like, we don't have an option. Like you have to buy it from them. And he didn't like that at all. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. So we didn't go with Siocast. We've kind of gone in another direction, but
It's definitely weird. Yeah, exactly. Proprietary blend. It is definitely a weird thing, and I'm sure that you've had to deal with that stuff too. I know that other friends of ours in the industry. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but other friends of ours in the industry have had the same thing where they've had to be like, how do I MacGyver this situation without breaking the machine, but also not having to import thermoplastics from Europe to do this.
Well, there's people. I mean, they're selling it now. You can get other blends, to put in there. I mean, hell, I even put glue sticks in there at one point. I remember when I was trying to figure it out, I was like, I wonder if I want this machine. And I've got a story. I can talk for a long time about this. Just tell me to stop. Just say stop.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of the photos around in the presentation.
That's fine. Yeah, it's all good, right?
What we're talking about.
There was a point though. I was like, man, I wonder if I could just take a really hard mold and take a hot glue gun and just shove the hot glue in there and make it form out. That's the very first thing I did. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of like Siocast. And then I think it was Victoria and Reaper had got Siocast. So we're like, oh, okay, we have people that are all in the group. We can understand how to make it work. And Victoria had a project and she wanted to do it. And so that's kind of how we got down the road of doing Siocast since that time. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I can throw glue sticks in there. So I've thrown glue sticks in there. I've thrown all sorts of stuff and made it make shapes. And I'm an engineer, right? I'd like to screw around with stuff, break it, don't break it, but break it. And we made a lot of different things. It pumps whatever that material is, the nylon material, into it to make it work though. So what you got to do, first thing you got to do, you got to get up in the morning, and then you got to go to work and you got to turn the thing on, and it's got to heat up. You got to pull the block out from the previous day. You put a new screen in, you clean the vat, you put a new mixture in, you take the block you pulled out, and you can either put that back in or you can chop it up. We chop up a lot of stuff. It takes about 2 to 3 hours to get that thing heated and changed over and able to produce. Really 2 hours. You can do it in 2. If you got a fresh block, you just have to turn it on, and that takes about 40 minutes. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, we're able to run production. We don't have 2 shifts here, so we've got to run our production in 4 to 5 to 6 hours. So the uptime for the machine is 6 hours. And the way you run it, you're running in circles. You're just, you put molds in, you pull them out. While that one's cooking, you get another mold set up, you put it in. You're constantly keeping the machine running. You're constantly doing this. And so you can get up to like 30 to 40 turns an hour. And so like this mold right here has 6 cavities. And if all the molds were like that, which by the way, this mold's kind of difficult because of the way the parts and stuff are laid out, but I can talk about that in a minute. But if you've got 6 cavities, and you're able to turn that about 30 times, you can get about 180 parts an hour. And these are big parts. If I had more cavitation in there, it's just a factor, and you just multiply it. So these are kind of goofy. There's this is a family mold with, this is a family mold with like 6 parts in it. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So when you say family mold, what do you mean by family mold?
There's 6 different figures in this mold. So
okay,
one of the problems with the mold, well, and again, it's good. The system works for certain things, but when you have really low volume, like we only sold maybe 150 of these sets. I think these are the Mishima. I think they are. They look like it. So the Mishima, there was only about 150 that were sold. Well, you don't build a 6 cavity mold for one model, because if you only sold 150 of those, because I can run that in 20 shots, that'll literally take 30 minutes. So I do 3 weeks worth of work to make a mold to run for 20 minutes. So the decision that we make for this is we say, hey, I got 180 of these 6 different codes. Let's set this up so that I can just put this in a cycle. And for this one, we were getting to the end of the project, and it was getting kind of long in the tooth. And we just went ahead and said, okay, well, I'm going to commit to running this thing 100. I think it was actually 120. I'm going to run this mold 120 times. And Siocast molds, they'll run up. I mean, you can run them forever, some of them, if you don't have really aggressive geometry. But you'll tend to get about 300 to 500 shots out of these things. So we knew it would last. So we printed one master of each. We stuck them in there. And normally family molds, because you have to balance them, you have to have an orifice opening going into each different part. Yeah, like this right
there
here.
You go.
Yeah, so a certain amount of material has to flow in there. And because you're coming off of one pump, the way you control how much mass goes into each one is you open the gate up. Now the gate, I don't know if I can, how can I describe it? The gate is that little flat spot. Yeah, go up a little bit. No. Go up to the right. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That spot's the gate into the part. So we always snip right there. So what you can't tell is that part may weigh 4 grams. That's actually an 8-gram part. That part weighs 8 grams. Directly below that, there's a part at the bottom of the screen. That one weighs 6 grams. So the opening for the 8-gram part is 4/3 compared to the one that's the 6 gram. That's how you meter all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, man, it gets crazy. So when we did it, it was like, I thought this was going to be the hardest mold that we had to do to get it to balance. And I balanced that in about 5 shots. And it actually was one of the better ones that performed. It performed really well for a while. They have these katanas on the back, and those kind of had some problems because they're really thin. Thin stuff doesn't fill out very well in Siocast. And so what we do there, we make a multimedia kit. We would make a Siocast part, and then like katanas or something really thin, we'll put that in 3D print, and then we'll combine them into a heat seal bag so they have different compartments. We've even made a Siocast metal resin 3D print kit. Right. I know we have. I can't remember which one it was, but it had like a big resin chunk.
I don't want that one.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. It was a big spider. It was a spider in the Jagged Edge Hideaway thing. It worked really nice. I mean, we tried to use the strength of each material, And anyway, so that's kind of how Siocast works.
These ones here are the masters here are 3D printed, right?
Yeah, we 3D print masters. Now, half of the project we 3D printed, and then we put them in a metal mold so we could blow out the numbers, and then we clean up those metal parts before they go into it. Those are really good because we can reuse them, but you have to 3D print the part, which takes 40 hours because we do 10 microns, and it's got to be a special polymer or special resin that's heat resistant and also gives you a good surface finish because you can sand it and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's 40 hours. Well, first, to even figure that out, there's like several hours of parting things out. So let's call it 3. So 3 hours, then you got to push the button, 40 hours. Then you got to clean that part. So that's an hour each part. So now we're at 44 hours. Then we got to place them in the mold, and it takes about an hour or 2 to build this mold and get all the silicone where it goes. So we're up to 2 days of time. Then we have to cook it, and that's about an hour cook. Let it cool off, pop that thing out. And so pretty soon you're at like 3 days of time just to make the mold. Again, we're doing a whole lot of molds at once. We would do like 4 to 5 molds a day. And so, 100 models, 5 molds a day. You're talking 20, 30 days, 40 days of mold making just to get that out. Right. So it can be really complicated just to set this up. Hence, you talk about 3D prints. I can do the cuts. I can put them on a SnapTray and then push the button. It doesn't always work that way. But, if I got a calendar and a watch, I know my schedule. I know when I'm going to get my stuff out, and I get it within about, 6 hours. So right. For 120 models, backing up to that Mishima, 120 models, I can fit all of the model production on about 4 or 5 print trays. And I can do all that in a time span of 10 hours and be done. Or I can do it into the mold, and then I got to run that thing every, 120 times because it's a single cavity. Right. And I only do about 20 turns an hour. And you have to have 3 turns in between the molds because they got to cool off. So this mold ran for 2 months, month and a half. So, that there's a lot of things when you're trying to build stuff, but but the commitment was to do them in Siocast, and so that was the honor of the Kickstarter, was to make sure that we did it that way. We get to the end of it, it's like, 3D print would be a better solution. And nowadays, after we've done all this, that's why we're switching a lot of stuff to 3D print.
Right.
So yeah, there's a short story long. There you go.
I think it's good that we've sort of set that up. We've talked about 3D printing, its possibilities. We've talked about Siocast.
Those are not Bismuth submasters. Somebody was asking about that. That is something that they do use. Bismuth's really nice for making those, and that's what you'll see from like Ramon and the Deten and Rose over in Netherlands. They do an awesome job with masters, and I mean, he's one of the best metal casters that I know. Next to the Rodmans. Rodmans are awesome too.
Right. Excellent. These ones here are 3D printed Warzone Eternal models that you did for.
Yeah, those were all. So when we were figuring out the SnapTrays, so we take the models and we support them, and we the way we run our software, we're really particular. They're about maybe 6 to 7 thousandths is the contact points on the supports, so they just pop right off. So we take all of those, arrange them on a SnapTray. Well, these are the products of all the SnapTray runs. So we had to test and test and test. And pop those off. We're like, oh, we can use these for the paint and take. So that's kind of how we did it as we were going through figuring things out. But these were at the Transatlantis booth in LVO. And I think they probably kept them to use for paint and takes elsewhere.
Yeah. Yep, no doubt. Excellent. And this was product that you took to LVO or you sent to Trenchworx.
Yeah, it was a product they sold, yeah. Yeah, and they have retail labels now. So they've got, this was just the labels to get it to the consumer, but now they've got a retail label that they use, or that we use, I guess.
Pretty cool.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah, I guess you were involved in this, Jake, because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, when they first started out, Alex brought myself and Rick Ankney on to help with like marketing and sales and stuff, and then I wrote one of the short stories that's in like the book that they did, and I helped them get a bunch of just like a lot of contacts. Like when we were first starting out, Alex was looking for like sculptors, so I helped him line up some sculptors that actually did a couple of sculptors that he got are guys that we lined up at like Gen Con and set up meetings with, and reached out to different guys and tracked down some really good folks. And then I know Brian Steele did a lot of the game design and stuff along with Alex, and we were trying to help him. Like we helped him with the Kickstarter and stuff, and then we were looking to do more, but I think part of it was we kind of ran into a wall, like because it's such a small group, right? It's basically Alex has like footed the bill for this entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forget what show it was. One of the shows, it might have been Origins. One of the shows, like I know myself. And like all four of us, me, Rick, Brian, and Alex, all sat down with the guys from Cabinet, who bought all the licenses from Target. So they own, they own Conan, they own like all the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff. So we sat down with them and talked about upcoming things and planning. So at the beginning, there was a lot of like, we thought it was going to be a lot crazier, and because it was Alex's project, Alex was very like kind of, keeping all of his cards kind of thing. So Rick and I would be like, hey, like, what do you want us to work on? And it was also tough too, because like I'm in Boston, so I would only see him in person at like 2 or 3 shows a year. Like we were doing, weekly conference calls and stuff like that. And then it just got to the point that I was like, is this really like worth like the time and effort to try to like figure something out? And we just kind of agreed that it probably wasn't in the best interest of me or him to keep doing this. Like I still wish those guys all the best, but yeah, for the first like year or so, more than that, for almost the first 2 years, I was part of the project. So
nice.
Cool. It's a good time.
There we go. So I think now we're gonna have a look at talk a little bit about resin casting and metal spin casting.
Yeah, so this is a drop mold. And so it's for spider butts and spider bodies and howdahs. And we take all those molds. And that's a big part. I wonder if I got one right here. I don't have one right here. I've got parts everywhere. But you mix your resin and you pour it into that little opening. The key is to make that opening target as big as you can so that your stream could go in there. and then we would vacuum it and then pressurize that, and it makes a perfect spider butt. If you go to the next one, I think the next one's got the pot. Oh well, this was
yeah. I'm not sure what happened. I know you sent through a photo with those
somewhere in there. We can talk about it.
For some
this
reason.
was open cast. You can see the mold back there. So this was
I have a buddy who used to do pink, like not pink. He used to do the blue silicone molds, and then he would do resin pours into the blue silicone molds to make them, and then you'd pull it apart. Is that basically what this is?
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Yeah, and the blue. So the silicone has a color to it, and then the silicone has no color, and it's usually white or some sort of a clear color. Or clear, and they'll add that colorant to it so that you know that the catalyst is mixing with the other part. Because if you don't do that, both of them are white, and so you're like, oh, is this a good mix or a bad mix? So it's really important that you colorize one of them so that we can see that stuff kind of fold together and go together. And then sometimes they'll use different colors to signify different durometers.
Nice.
Like this durometer is a 20. I think it's like a 20 durometer, but we use like dragon skin. That's a really good platinum.
For folks at home, durometer is hardness.
Yeah, sorry, it's like squishy, squishy stuff, like the soles of your feet. If you have those squishy shoes that you walk around, or if you have
we're throwing a lot of math and science and engineering at people, and I'm sure there's people that were listening to this being like, "What are they talking about?"
They'll catch up.
Like my dad. So my dad was an engineer, so like I'm following a lot of what you're saying, but also like I've both Dave and I have messed with this stuff a little bit, but I'm sure there's people at home who are like, well, like they're Googling this, like, what are they talking about? Like, I don't know what any of this is.
What's a durometer and how do I wear that? But yeah, we make, different soft stuff like Reynolds Advanced Materials. They make something called dragon skin, and they originally developed that for making masks and stuff that they could peel off. But it also turned out that it was really good at getting high detail, and it's a platinum cured silicone, and it's also clear, so you can kind of see the part inside there. By the way, this is a tin cured, silicone. So platinum and tin requires humidity to cure. Platinum just cures itself. And it's really good for, what's it called? Like archives. So if you want something that's very dimensionally stable and will last a long time, you would use platinum, but it's more expensive. And then the tin cure, you're just burning through that stuff. And, it's humidity cured. And, that's kind of how we just make decisions about what we're trying to do. You want to reduce your cost. So we want to make sure that the silicone gives us the life we want for the price that we want to spend. And by the way, silicone's wet. And what do we want to do? We want to dry stuff as fast as possible. And that one cures in about 20 hours. So 16 hours. Platinum can cure in an hour, but it's really expensive.
Jez says, is platinum the one that you can't stick stuff to?
No, you can't. You really can't stick stuff to anything. To either one of them,
right?
Silicone, the tin cure silicone won't. You can't put a piece of tape on it and hope it to stick. You can try to write on them, but that doesn't work really well. You can kind of rough it up or put talc on it, and that might hold for a little bit, but eventually it'll just wear off. Silicone's really good at rejecting other materials. It rejects heat. It rejects ink. It rejects pretty much everything.
Yeah. I guess that's why the post-it notes are used here. Right?
Oh, yeah,
they're standing in it. They're not stuck to it.
Yeah.
They're in the slit. We'll do like a multi-cavity mold, and it'll be a slit. If you go back to that other picture too, if you see that mold, you see those little notches. So each mold is going to give you between 20 and 30 shots, and depending on how aggressive the undercuts are, you may only get 20. You may only get 15. So like this one, we actually only made one mold, and it gave us 18, 21. Plus we had another one. We were screwing around at the beginning with some other stuff. So this one gave us about 23 shots, and we finished the job. So that's kind of how that works.
So these little notches along the bottom.
Yeah, we key every one because you can't write on it, so we don't know how many times we did it. And then at the end of it, we'll look at the mold life. So like this was a one-off project, and a one-off project, we don't really worry about that. But like if we were doing a kangaroo, the original kangaroo molds or the Matilda molds for Victoria Miniatures, we had to make a lot of those. She did the wildfire relief, and I think we had to make, I don't know, she sold like $60,000 worth of kangaroos, so it was 700 or 800 of them.
Wow.
For those of you
It
at home,
matters because what's
Again,
that? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, for those of you at home, again, when Dave's talking about shots, what he means is each time you run it to make a thing, that's called a shot. And the reason why they last a limited amount of time is the silicone over time, you'll start like ripping up the inside of the mold each time you pull them out. And so the first one you do will be really, really sure. So the first snake guy, I'm sure, was nice and crisp.
Perfect.
And then they progressively get less crisp. It's like back in the day, if you made a photocopy of a photocopy and you kept doing that, it gets worse and worse. So by the time you're done, like you could probably make a couple more, but they'll be kind of fuzzy and they won't have a lot of detail because like you've worn out the nice sharp edges, because silicone doesn't hold a nice sharp edge. That's kind of the issue. So that's what Dave's talking about. That's why when you get molds from Games Workshop or any of the bigger companies that have injection molded plastic trays, you're getting the polystyrene plastics, and those are in a metal mold. So instead of a silicone box, you'd have like a metal clamshell kind of thing, and those can last, I mean, like hundreds of thousands of shots before you would have to replace them over time because of the way it's designed. So it is a different thing. Like I know back when Forge World was still a thing, the reason why sometimes you get stuff that's warped or bent or whatever is because, again, they're using blue silicone poured molds and their resin is not the best and they didn't let it cure right. And that's why you get all those curing issues when you have like stuff that bends or curls or there's holes in it or bubbles or whatever. And I'm sure Dave can speak to that too. It's all the different materials and how you're doing it in the process. And
I can tell you a little bit. I'll go 15 seconds on the science and then something that's really like mind-blowing about the silicone molds. So if you have a pocket, and we'll call it round, what happens is when all this stuff cures, part A and B, it pushes isocyanates into the wall of the silicone. The silicone, remember, it wants to reject everything. So what the silicone does is it tries to reject the isocyanates back into the resin, but it can't. It actually absorbs it. And so the little surface that's around that cavity grows. So the first cast will be this big. The second cast will be this big. And by the time you get to the last cast, it'll be a lot smaller. So when you say how much does your resin shrink, you hear people talk about shrinkage in the process.
Right.
It's not shrinkage of just a shot. It's shrinkage from the first cast to the last cast. And you'll see it go down by like 5%. That's why when you have different molds from different, if you have a model that has multiple molds, this one may have been shot on the first time of that mold.
Right.
This one over here may have been shot on the last shot of that mold, but they all go into the kit and you're like, why is this one so loose? And then this other one, like, man, this one's like tight. It's because this one was the female cavity and this was the male cavity. This female cavity shrunk, or it would have got bigger because that's a positive. But that's why things don't quite work when you're doing resin and you end up with green stuff like what Dave did on that thing over there that was 3D printed a while ago. Yeah. So that's how you just do it. And that's just part of building models for the last, 30 years.
Yeah.
So,
again,
this is one.
It's super crazy. Like I always find it. That's awesome. I always find it super interesting when you get into this stuff. But yeah, there's so much math involved, math and science involved. Like I'm a math and science
and
guy.
Luck. Don't forget luck. Luck's a lot.
Yeah, sure. The luck is always there as well, which is just math because luck is chaos theory. So yeah, it's wild though when you see the way some of the stuff is printed and made, and then you start realizing that there's differences and. Like Finecast is a hilarious example. It's probably most people's first experience with resin, I would say, is probably when Citadel had Finecast.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it was a neat process. It should have worked, but some things work, some things don't. It's hard to build stuff. I mean, it's hard.
I threw this photo in. This is a photo I took in 2019 of some flags for Victoria Miniatures.
Yeah, those are her banners, and let's see, 70477. I think that's a SKU number for it. And since that time, all of these have been scanned. Victoria took those scans, she's touched them up, and then those scans are now 3D printed. So we went from analog green stuff, resin cast it for years. Ramon over in Netherlands scanned them, sent them to Victoria. In the meantime, she's had to learn how to do ZBrush and go back and remaster in ZBrush all of her old stuff that she did in greens. And by the way, a green hand sculpted, it's just beautiful parts, I mean, that's just what we grew up on. But she's gone back and polished them digitally, and now we 3D print those things. Right. So that's like the lifetime of this whole thing. Oh, by the way, she sells the STLs. So, you get more life out of this same product that you sculpted, 15 years ago. And it's kind of a cool process.
When we had her on, she talked about having to learn ZBrush, and it's a whole new skill set, going back and changing it. It is wild. Like when you think about all this stuff, like you going back, look at all like the Raoul Partha models I grew up with and the Grenadier stuff. It's all, hand sculpted masters, and then they would go back and sort of make the master molds, and then they would do all the metals for them. Like it's bonkers seeing all that stuff.
Oh yeah, this is one. So Warp Miniatures, Alex Huntley, we do his American casting, and he hasn't really got it rolling yet, but we do distribution work for people. They give us their models, and then we build them, and then we ship them off of their website. But he had us build a bunch of models. And the little gray goblin at the top, that towel, I don't actually know what it is. It's like a towel that you smack people with in the shower or whatever,
Oh, rat tail.
Yeah. So I guess that part was lost, or something happened to it. It broke and we couldn't find it. It might have even been inside the original master mold. And so I called him and said, hey, I think this guy is supposed to be different. And he's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to have this tail and all this other. And he had originally sent resin masters over. I think that's what happened. It broke and just disappeared. I said, you think you can we have this mold. We need to finish this. Can you sculpt this digitally? And then, we can navigate this process and get this finished. And so I told him, and then he says, okay. And the next day he sent that model. He worked on it for a few hours that night and got it working. We printed it out that day. And then the next day we put it in a mold. And he's in England. He's in Nottingham. So that's how the world works now. It's like, hey, I need something. Can you do this? You sculpt it. The guy sends it over. Fortunately, he knows a lot about sculpting and undercuts, and he does a lot of hand sculpts. And he even hand sculpts on top of his digital prints. And the product line that he has is called Warp Miniatures, and it's Arc World is the name of it. It's just, they're cool models. They're just awesome. And we threw that into a mold and then made that. And so that's kind of how that progressed. Like I say, every model has a story, every single one of them. Yep. And then I think the next one's the shot, the first spin. Yeah, that's the first spin. The reason I put those little blue things in there is because that's a harder silicone, and silicone sticks to silicone. I didn't care what it is. And so I was trying to give it some strength around that part. I don't know if it really made sense now that I look at it, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. And so that was the first casting of it. I got lucky. I kind of did that one right.
And this is obviously metal spin casting.
Yeah, this is metal. Sorry. Yeah, this is
so people who are watching at home, literally this uses centrifugal force. So this whole thing spins and it pushes the metal, or it pulls the metal out into all of the cavities. And then once it's done and it's cooled, then you pop this thing in half. Obviously, he's got his cooking mitt on. You can see his thumb over there. So you'd pop this thing open, and then you would pull out all the metals and you'd snip them all off.
Yeah. If I do a good job cutting the gates, they just break off. I don't have to snip them, but every so often I'll get kind of crazy and not pay attention, and I have to snip them, and that just slows you down.
Yep. So that's one thing to point out as well. So these are all the minis pushed into the bottom layer, the central core.
It turns that way. The way it turns clockwise, and so that little vent there, what that does is it keeps all your impurities toward the center, and it spits out clean metal that then goes into the part.
Yep. So what you'd have to do after here is sit down with a scalpel basically, and cut those channels in
Yeah.
from the center.
Yeah, and the further I can get it to the outside of the mold, the more force it fills out the object. The problem with getting to the outside of the molds sometimes want to be open, and so that's when you see a lot of the really fine flash that'll be in the parts. And the Rodmans, he talked me into doing that little groove around it. Ben, he's like, hey, you need to do it this way so you can spin it faster. And I mean, everybody just learns from each other and stuff like that. So
it's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And for those of you at home, this is like the original way that everybody did models. Like every single company did spin cast metals. That's just how it was done.
And this is a silicone mold.
Sure.
It takes an hour to cure. Now, what you're going to see on this next slide is a black mold. And so it's the black rubber. And oh my God, it smells so good. There's only like 4 left in the world because they stopped making them. But that's what people used to use. And it's really hard. And you have to be some of the guys, I mean, they're just so much talent that's built this industry over the last 40, 50 years. They would take a green and press that into a black mold without destroying it, so that they could get a good casting, and then they would take those masters and then clean them and put them into more black molds. But the reason he put this one up here was because I had an old boss in my medical business, or the medical industry, and he says, man, if we could make wagon wheels and make money, we'd do it. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm making wagon wheels and we get money every time we spin it. So I always kind of laugh at that. I'm like, yeah, this one made money. But this was for Weewolf Miniatures for Donald Hauser for his Franco-Prussian line that he's got. We had tried to kind of sell it together as a partnership, but it was kind of difficult because the way I was doing Trenchworx, we were doing a lot of different things, and I kind of confused the product line. I wanted to have a historical aspect and a fantasy aspect, but I couldn't quite figure out how to make this work right. So he's pretty much got all this stuff on his website now, but we still make molds for him and help him with things.
Yeah. That's cool.
And he's been around for a while too, building miniatures.
Yeah, for sure. Some more metal castings.
Yeah, this is Pina. So Pina is kind of like, she's a hedge mage for MCDM. She's kind of their mascot. Patrick Keith sculpted Pina for me.
Oh, cool.
This was from the Hobgoblin project, which we're still working on. We got so delayed on that thing. I had Patrick make another mold for her. Another pose for her, and a whole bunch of other free stuff that we're giving the guys because we just got kind of sideways. I thought I could manage. It was only about 70 sculpts, and it was across about 5 or 6 artists. But there was just different problems with getting some of the sculpts finished. And so we learned a couple of lessons on this project. The first one we did was really simple, and that's what you do, right? You do a simple project, you're like, oh yeah, this is easy, we can do it, we can do a little bit better project. And no, it's never a bridge too far is kind of what happened there. But we're learning and we're getting that fixed. But Patrick Keith sculpted her, and she's a really neat model. Those are all the freebies that everybody got in the project.
Yeah, excellent. And everybody's favorite Spanish Inquisition.
No one expected
that, right? So this is Victoria Miniatures, Spanish Inquisition. She sculpted these. I think I saw a picture the other day that was from like 2006. So 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
She made them in resin. I can't remember who made them for then. And since that time, they've been scanned. She's touched them up. She did a Kickstarter for these, I believe, sold the STLs. We took those retouches and we put them in metal. And so we sell a premium edition of metal. We sell a 3D print, and then we got rid of the resin because metal's really fast. I mean, I can make these, in a minute, but the resin takes, 30, 40 minutes. There's a lot of setup and the molds die and all this other stuff. Our 3D
super
print,
cool. I love how there's like alternate hands for everybody too, which is kind of great.
Yeah, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of 2 pillows.
Lots of character in these.
Yeah.
I think speaking of guys you worked with, Brian just jumped in.
Hey Brian, how you doing?
With both of you guys.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Tales from a Professional Nerd. Is that the right? I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
You missed the Warzone conversation, Brian.
You have to go back and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she originally sculpted the originals before she sculpted the production or the sculpted for
Yeah,
production.
it was like a diorama or something she did for
Yeah, it's like
wartime. I for some
19
reason it just popped up in my feed, and I was like, oh, is that when she did those?
Yeah, she did it was like 98, 99, 2000, sometime around there.
Oh yeah, so maybe 25 years old these guys are.
Yeah.
It's always a favorite. I mean, and those people love them. And actually, so when Trench Crusade became popular, it was like we walked in, it was like there was like 200, there was a lot of orders. And it's like, what the hell is happening? And we didn't realize Trench Crusade was really getting hot. And she has all these bits and stuff. And it was like, why are people buying this? I don't understand. But I guess they're buying it, so we got to ship it. And so we got really behind because we had just had Black Friday, which when you come in on Monday, it's like, oh my God, there's a bazillion orders. And then like 2 weeks later, excuse me, all the Trench Crusade stuff hit, which I don't know. Somebody said something somewhere. And that caused all these orders to come in right before Christmas. And so then people saw this and like, oh, you got to have these. And everything went it was a madhouse last year between the holidays. It was just insane. But
awesome.
Yeah, that's how the miniature business works. I don't know.
I mean, you could use these for so many models in Trench Crusade. Like these could be Trench Pilgrims. These could be like this. You could use these for a ton of stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Very cool. Next up, and
some guy wanted 300 Longhorns. So there you go. I guess he had a cattle drive from San Antonio to Albuquerque. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was for Knuckle Duster. And so it was like, oh, this guy. So he called. He says, hey, I want to place a big order. He was like, oh, okay, we do big orders all the time. He's like, well, can you make 300 Longhorns for me? I was like, oh, that's a big order. And so then we just kind of figured out how to do that. I think we actually pulled all of them off the supports on this. And like I said, if we back up, I said it a couple of times, when we 3D print stuff, we really focus on having very, very small contact points so that stuff should just pull off. Yeah. I think that's what we did. We also use a heat gun. We might have used a heat gun on these to help because you can heat it up and then it just comes right off.
Right. Is there two Longhorn on each thing, or are they just, did you stagger them when you did them?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's two Longhorns on every piece.
At every piece. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the kit has 6 of them in it. It's for Knuckle Duster, by the way.
Yeah.
And so he has buffalo. Somebody ordered a herd of buffalo one time. There was a lot of those. That filled up the table. I don't think I took a picture of that one. He's got like 3 different styles of buffalo. Those were some. So those, interestingly enough, making anything with 4 legs is a real pain in the butt. So 3D print it, right. You would think, oh, well, people make horses all the time. Well, no, you got to make a horse so that the legs are, indented so that you can build the mold. So we made buffalo in a Siocast mold, and it worked for a while, but the legs always tear out because it's really hard to figure out how to make, the stride of the animal to make it look right. Yeah. And so we always talk about, horses, anything with 4 legs is very difficult to build. So we'd always cut a leg off when we did the what was it? The Warhorse project for Victoria. All the horses were 3-legged horses. And so we 3D printed the 4th leg because we can make something that kind of does this shape into the back leg. And then here's the other 2 right legs. Yep. Figuring out how to get this leg. And we're talking about the plane and the mold is really difficult. So we just pulled that off. And I think Ramon had that idea. He wanted to do it. But what ends up happening is it just tears out the mold. They don't last a long time because you pull a chunk out. So
that makes a lot of sense why every single old GW and Ralpart the horse I ever built was 2 halves. They
put 2. Yeah. Because it's easy to do that. You know where the parting line is. And if you're trying to put them in silicone, you really don't know when you heat the silicone up where it's going to head. I mean, it'll fill things out. You think you've packed it properly, and so that it'll work well. And it doesn't. It's sometimes difficult. I've learned a lot of things from like John Popson. He taught me recently how to how to dig your hole and then put like a big gumball of silicone in there to help it flatten itself out. But you have to do that after you put talc on it. I mean, there's a whole process of building a mold, but you just try to listen to other people and learn from them, and see if you can apply what they tell you.
Yeah.
But so anyway, 3D printing 4-legged animals is the way to go.
Yeah. Just in the comments, just flip the script on Animal Farm with 4 legs bad, 2 legs good.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And Kat has said, this is freaking fascinating. So good to hear the thinking it through process.
Well, it's kind of fun to talk about it and then to hear people's reactions, because a lot of people don't really know. And, when you get a model, you're like, oh my God, this is the worst model I've ever, there's Gavin. This is the worst model I've ever had to deal with. But whoever built that model, I swear to God, they tried. They tried their best to make that the best model that they could. And sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And it's really hard. It's really hard making stuff.
To this day,
we always try to do our very best. But
to this day, I think one of the models that stands out from when I was a kid is I had a Grenadier Frost Giant. So it looked like a giant Viking, right? It's like, horned helmet, beard. He's wearing like splint mail. He's got a big battle axe in one hand. And I think he had his arm out like this, and his other arm was like this. And he's this tall. So he's probably like a good 8, 9, 10 inches tall. Yeah. And it's all metal. Yeah. It's a white
unopened copy of that one. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
So when you had to glue his arms on, and his wrist with his battle axe was one piece, and that thing weighed more than like a tactical squad, just the axe. Yeah. So you were like, okay, how do I glue this in? There's no socket. It's flat metal against flat metal. You're just trying to glue. It was a nightmare. Like I was like, I used 2-part like plumber's epoxy because it's supposed to bond like metal pipes together. And I was like, this will work for sure. Like my mother was like, you can't do this in the basement. You got to use somewhere where it's ventilated. So I was doing it on our screened in porch out in the backyard. And I was trying to get it to mix and everything. I used a ton of that stuff. And I was like, after weeks of trying super glue, crazy glue, like everything I could think of, finally used this stuff and it worked. And then I moved it and it like fell off. And I was like, I was like,
yeah.
I think when I got older, I finally fixed it because I learned about pinning.
Yep.
So I pinned them out, but they don't even tell you that in the model kit. I was like, how was anybody supposed to know how to do this?
Yeah, you just have to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
That's the final thing supposed to look like. But every model that's ever made, someone really tried really hard. They did their best, and it's part of it. I try not to ever say bad stuff about people's trying, because I know how hard it is to make it.
As an adult, I would say probably the old metal Chaos Hell Cannon.
Oh yeah, I've got that one. Yeah,
I fortunately at that point I was working in Games Workshop. I pinned the hell out of that thing. I pinned the whole model. Everything is glued together. There's paper clips holding every single joint and seam. I used green stuff to cover up all the holes. You could kill somebody with that thing. That model weighs like 6 pounds. It's just a 6-pound metal Rubik's Cube covered in spikes.
Yep. I love the one of my favorites from that era is the Noblar scrap launcher.
Oh God.
Which doesn't have big long areas of great contact point.
No.
Every single piece is a tiny contact point that's almost impossible to pen and get to hold together. So I have one
now that it's in plastic. Now it's easy. Now it's easy.
Yeah, I got one that's been sitting in a cabinet for 15 years. It has moved for 15 years.
No way.
Afraid to change it. But anyway, let's jump back in and we'll take a look at the last few.
Yeah, that's Gavin. He's making some snap trays. Actually, I don't know what he might be working. We 3D print the on demand for spiky bits.
Okay.
So all his stuff comes through here. So he might actually be building the order for that. I'm not sure what. Or just building that in Chitterbox. That's a good program. That's the best one I like. All of us like that.
Yeah.
There's a team. Those are so John Popson made those master molds for Warp Miniatures and Alex Huntley. And so we got the master molds, and then from that we made masters that we then put in production molds. So that's the crew got a hold of that. You can see molds in the back, and it's just there's stuff everywhere. We make a lot of models.
Yeah. I just noticed Steven's in the chat as well. Got to Tabletop Super Show. Actually got to watch some of this live.
Nice.
Excellent. And then, you sent me a bunch of photos of these are models that you produce either for Trenchworx or for other folks.
Yeah, there's the painted tank. That's our paintball tank, we call it. Right. And so there was a person at the Adepticon in 2021, and she came through, and she was with her and her dad, and they had just come from the one where they do the grinder, where they grind up the model that you built.
All right, yep.
And she was wearing a tie-dyed shirt that looked just like that. And she held it in front of her, and it was like, oh, the thing disappeared. It was totally camouflaged. I never thought I'd get to experience that, but her shirt looked exactly like that tank. And I think it's floated around inside the Adepticon pages a couple of times.
Did you Did you do stuff for the guys at Footsore?
No. Bill Thornhill used to own Footsore, and then it's now Mark Farr and Andy Hobday. Well, Andy, I think, moved on. He's working at War Games Atlantic. But we talk with them a lot about stuff, and I'm sure at some point we'll all get to work together with them too.
Yep.
Dude,
I think we have seen some stuff. Some stuff from them came through us. I don't know. I don't remember. This me.
Yeah, I could have sworn I saw kits that you guys had done for them, or they did with you, or something. I love those. I love those Matildas. Those are awesome.
Matildas?
Yeah. Oh no! I never made a Matilda, a World War II Matilda. We never made one.
No. I'm not saying. Those are two different things. Like I could have sworn I saw something you guys did with them. End of sentence. The next sentence.
Oh, okay.
I love those Matildas. Those are awesome.
Paragraph. Yeah. But yeah, so the A7V, the German World War I tank, the different
Mark 5s, Mark 4s, the Butte Panzers, because the Germans took the Prussians. Germans, they took them over, and then they would throw their symbology on there, and they called those a Butte Panzer. Then the FT-17s and the Crossley Tender, good old Crossley Tender.
Yep.
And a giant for some reason. There's a giant captain back there.
That's Captain Ron. What would he call him? Ron Banks. Yeah,
he's about to wreck shop.
And so that was from our D-Day line a few years ago. I don't know. I've always liked Saving Private Ryan. I just enjoy the movie, and we had always wanted to make a D-Day set, and I think we were some of the first to make a D-Day set. And so we just parsed the scenes out. I was like, oh, this is kind of a neat scene. And one of the things that I asked to be done was to put the bags on the rifles, because the rifles were kept in a dry bag so that they wouldn't get water and sand mixed in. And so that was kind of challenging to figure out how to do it, because you had to kind of know what the end game was. And then the painter, Chris, he sent it to me, and they were all painted brown. I was like, no, they got to be like the plastic bags, the Mylar, that went around them. And so he went back and he made them white. I wish I'd taken a picture of that for you. But he painted them kind of white so they looked like they were a gun inside the bag. And that was just one of the things that I was really satisfied seeing that. That and the peekaboo miniature. We made the one where he's using the mirror to look around the corner.
Yeah. That
was one of the first ones we made. That was an objective marker. And people buy that thing all the time. That is the most downloaded thing that we have on our website, next to the Czech hedgehog.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So, anyway, that's a blow up of that miniature. There's a bunch of Russian tanks. I think Nate was really into Russians at the time because he's playing a lot of bolt action. And he's like, make these. I was like, yeah, let's make them, see what happens.
This big one's the T-27, isn't it?
T-28, yeah. It's a T-28.
Yeah,
it's funny because you see that
with the 3 turrets.
Yeah, you look at it and you think those 2 turrets, the 2 smaller machine gun turrets, are. He's like, hey, that's not right. Shouldn't they be opposite? But everybody's right-handed. Well, yeah, everybody's right-handed, and so they were the way they would shoot was out the right side, so they're both duplicates. But you'll see some models out there and they're drawn. They mirrored it, and it's. And then
you get a couple Sherman variants in there.
There's some Shermans in there, yeah. There's some A1, M4s, A4s, and there's a BT, the fast tank back there. We're going to be putting that. There's a Japanese Chiha or Type 92 back there.
That's the Japanese one.
Oh, that's Type 92, yeah. The other one's a Chiha over there with
the German lunchbox thing is hilarious to me. I always got a kick out of that tank.
And they only made 20 of those, so they all had names.
Yep.
If you go to Bovington, they have a big board with all 20 of them and the different images of what they look like and the paint jobs that are on them.
Excellent. One of the things I was going to say, if you're ever looking at tanks and you've got a tank that has these yellow cross painted over it, very thin stripes front to back. That's a Japanese tank.
Yeah.
All the Japanese tanks had that. So.
And who painted those? I can't remember. It was oh my gosh, I can't remember. He painted those for us. I had to send him to England for him because he really wanted to do it. And he did a bunch of the Russian stuff for us too. Gosh, I can't even remember that. I wish I could give him a shout out. I'll think of it after we're done, probably. Yeah. Oh yeah, these were some of the models. So this was so Relg is in the back. These are all MCDM models, and then there's a model from the miniature building guys in the back there. And then that little blue one that you can't see behind that big demon that looks like a lictor, that's a Reaper. That's a Reaper dragon sculpted by Julie Guthrie. And then if you come forward, all of that stuff in the front, those are all MCDM models. So to the left there, that lictor, that's a slaughter demon, and he's part of the Hobgoblin project. We accidentally printed this big the first time, and they were like, whoa, can't build that. Get it back to the right size. So he's 5 inches. So we're printing and building him right now. Then Groyle's in the center. The fella who designed him was Jason Hasenauer. And I guess his dad is the Hasenauer behind Fire and Fury rules. And so, yeah, so he designed him. We actually got him all the way through mastering and building. And it cost a lot of money because it was, resin. And we said, he needs to fit on a 3-inch base, not a 4-inch base. And so we had to go back and shrink the model down, reprint the whole thing. And now he's a little bit smaller. In fact, this is the model right here. That's the one you see. And then the other one's a little bit, about half the size, not half, but a third, 2/3 the size. Yeah. And then the Relg is in the back. He was kind of like their great unclean one.
Right.
All these guys, everybody plays Warhammer, so they just want to make stuff that's cool that they like. Yeah. Backing up to Groyle, a lot of people use them for the what's the Chaos Demon that? It's like a elite crew. But they'll use those for proxies. Surprisingly, I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. Over to the right is Zornox. He's got all those spikes on him.
He looks like a beholder almost, or like one of the big floating things from Doom.
Yeah, he's their eye tyrant type demon, and everybody's gotten tetanus from pulling that thing out of the mold because he's got all those damn spikes on him. And that side's the little things on the side. Those are Siocast, and then he's got a mouth.
All right.
And then the base is a Siocast base, and he's on a peg. I wonder if I have him. He's right here, actually. I'll pull him out and I can show some of the stuff about him. He's cool. So from the side view, so he's got all these Siocast. Where'd I go? Siocast parts on the side.
Find you. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, he's got these Siocast chops. And then this was one solid chunk. When we originally designed it, he was like 4 parts, and I was like, no man, that's going to take forever because we got to cast 3,500 of these things. So that would have been like 14 or 15,000 parts, and we'd still be doing it. And so we made the brave decision to put them all together into one piece. And if you remember that mold with the snake way back a few slides, so we made a mold like that. It's like a big round mold, and we poured him from the top, so it filled all this stuff out. So then we pull him out and we pull him from there. And then we had a special wrapping procedure because we had to kind of protect these spikes. By the way, if you just heat up resin in warm water, you can adjust and bend things a little bit too. But I mean, you look at that thing and it's
pretty crazy.
Look at all that design over it. It's all one part, but that's what resin's good for. Resin's good for making one big thing and trying to get as much detail on there. If this was like a plastic model kit, they'd have to cheat to make everything flat. You got to make it flat to put together to cheat it to be 3D. But with resin casting and the way the undercuts and the molds work, you can just make all this detail on one big solid chunk.
Or if it was metal, it'd be 2 halves, and then you'd have a whole like arm where you'd have to cut off all the spikes, then glue all the spikes on.
Yeah,
that'd be hard.
Screws and spikes.
Oh my god, no thanks.
At this part, I wouldn't actually 3D print him because I could only get about 6 or 7 on a tray. And so if I had to do 3,500, you're talking about, I don't know, what is it, 500 print jobs, and that take a while. And they're long enough. They're 3 inches, so that's like an 8.5. And so you have to print them at night. So depending on how many printers you got, if you got 50 of them, you still got to do that for like 100 days or whatever. It's interesting. You have to make certain choices for, what you're trying to build. So these are Siocast because we want them to be a little flexible. And Siocast is really good at that. It can take some flexibility. Unless you run your reclaim too high, and then it gets a little more rigid and can break. The other problem with Siocast is if it's in freezing conditions, it can break really easy as well. I found that out the hard way too. But we wanted all that stuff to be really flexible to be able to move. And anyway, so that's kind of the story behind that model.
Excellent.
And he's got a little peg sticks in there.
All right. Cool.
Pretty sweet.
Nice. Let's jump back to this one. There we go.
Oh yeah, there's Leatherface. So this was for Blackheart models. So George is a neat guy. We made a lot of different models for him over the years. We made that Exorcist bust, so it's a life-size bust, and it's got I don't know if you may have seen it floating through the the Ethernets. It's got a chapel, and it's got the priest, and it's got the Exorcist body on it.
Is that the Reaper Fire Giant?
No, where? Yes. Yeah.
The guy on the right with the big sword with the triangle.
Yeah,
head?
that's Bobby Jackson sculpted him, and we printed him. That was one of the ones we printed as a master, and then we made a resin master and sent those to Ron so that they could do the bones process for him.
Very cool. I love
that. Was a long time ago. That one in the back, that elephant, that's a Jason Wiebe. I don't know if you know Jason. He does awesome animals. If it's an animal, you would want Jason to sculpt that. So we had to cast that for him. And I've lost his tail, but there's his butt.
Cool.
So he's kind of cool.
Very cool.
We had what else is in that picture? Oh yeah, this is Lucy Lawless. So this is Lucy, and she played a character in a rotoscope film called Spine of Night. And Spine of Night is the same people that do Love, Death, and Robots. I think if you've ever seen that. So those guys produce the show. They also did this rotoscope film. And so this is, I can't remember her name, but Nate Brooks sculpted this one, and it's straight out of the film. This one was Joe Manganiello's character. So he was hunting her. And, there's a story behind every miniature, right?
Nice.
Yep.
So, but we had to make these for them because they were selling them as a promotional for the film. So that's kind of a cool project. Get to learn some things about that. I actually learned something along the lines of piracy. And so we talk about STLs, right? And and the STLs, people like to share them. You shouldn't do that. You should, pay the creators for them and stuff. But I was frustrated because we wanted to do the STL sales. And the fella who, owns the film and did that, he says, well, piracy is just a fact of life. And what you have to accept is that the people who are the pirates, they were never going to buy anything from you anyway. You won't even know they exist. So just don't care. And so once I kind of got past that helped me cross that bridge and saying, okay, we'll sell all the STLs. I don't care. And, hopefully people who are honest, they'll pay for them and do the right things. And then some people will share them in their groups. I mean, that's minor, but yeah, it kind of taught me a lesson about piracy of models and things like that. So anyway, that was an aside. Or you can go back to that screenshot.
Cool. Next up, what do we got? Okay, cool. So now I think we'll jump into SnapTray.
Oh yeah. So yeah, SnapTray is so this is the FT17. So that is the first print that we did for the FT17. It was all of the different parts. So our first theory on SnapTray was to take all of our parts and put them on these platforms. We've been doing this for probably 3 or 4 years. That's how we sell 3D printed product, and we keep it on the supports. Again, we've been focusing on, keeping keeping the models themselves and the contact points really small. But our first theory was just take all the parts and just throw them on the SnapTray. And then we were looking at it. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Why does a person have to build this? Because we can 3D print the whole shape. And the little the trench runner on the back of the FT17, we've since taken that off and put it together. And then we improved the kit. Like I say, remember, every single day we think of something new to do with a SnapTray product. So we open the box, take this little flyer out. It takes you to a SnapTray Pro page. I deal with it. Talk about heat and how to make that work. Pull your bag out. It's got your part in it. By the way, so the box is a certain size, so it keeps everything nice and structured. If the box, like if the elephant sits on it, it's going to damage the part anyway, but that would have happened with a straight up model kit. And then you pull this guy out of the bag. And so we redid this one. And so now we put like the toolbox and the muffler and all that other stuff on here. And then the parts themselves, we've got the guns, we've got the turrets. And what you would want to do if you want to pull some of these parts off, let's see, hopefully I can do it. I kind of have to pay attention, but you kind of run in there, and David's going to kill me because we can't make enough of these things right now. And he says, don't take my inventory, because I went out there and grabbed it. But, you know, you break off all these little fines, and then you just pull this. Let's see if I can do it. Come on. Yeah, you pull the part off. And so the part comes off, and it's got a little bit of the fines on there, and we just peel those off and wipe them away. And we might have to take a little X-Acto and just kind of pull those in. But we've tried to make them so small. They're like the thicknesses of 2 human hairs. And so there's your part.
That's awesome.
And we put the contact point somewhere a person doesn't see it. Because sometimes you'll get a pit or you'll get a positive. And so, you know, we try to make sure that we do a good job there. And then gradually, you'll just go through here and you'll just start pulling off the little guns and stuff. So kind of like pull that piece off.
This is exactly what I was doing when I was cleaning those stupid Imperial smoke detectors. I was like, why didn't you set up the supports so they print inside? Because he was like, we don't care what they look like inside. And I was like, have it all be supported inside. So then you could just break it all off and then put it together. Like no one would ever see them.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll have to talk to our engineer about that. I was like,
yep.
Yeah. Engineers, man. Like I say, I'm an engineer. My wife always says, why are you guys always arguing? I'm like, that's how we socialize.
Dave,
Yeah, you just kind of go through your SnapTray and you just keep breaking all these little parts off and these fines so that you can get to the more meatier stuff inside there.
You understand you have to build that now, right? Or you have to rebox it and then someone doesn't have to do this.
Oh, I can build anything in like 10 minutes.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we were laughing too because you know, we see modelers, and I know, you know who you are. You spend all this time, you know, just making it perfect and everything. And we take a pair of clippers out of a resin thing, and in like 2 minutes, the thing's perfectly clean just because we do it all day long. Yeah. But yeah, the part comes off, you know, nice and clean. It's got a little bit of pits on the bottom. Well, not really. It's all positives. You wouldn't even have to do anything about that because nobody ever sees it. And this little spot right here, we'll just pop that off, and that's
pretty impressive. Part.
Dave, can you hold up the track section again?
Oh yeah. So you take your track. So your track section, it'll go in there. Let's see, where am I at? Yeah, this way. There's a little key for it, so that'll go in there just like that.
Yep.
You put your other one on there, and so that was the one thing about the resin. You know, you make a resin part. Oh, we need a turret. Let me see if I can pop a turret off in one hand here.
Just hold up one of the tracks for me, or the thing with the track.
Oh yeah, that's the track that you held.
Yeah, I just went back to find that photo. Of course.
Only in a different scale.
Yeah, slightly different scale. So there we go.
There you go.
Yep, perfect.
Looks like you have
seamless
the left track.
Yeah,
wait, right track. So. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works. It's really simple. Oh, and by the way, that first one, this is where the trench rail. So the trench rail, we put all of that together and printed that. One of the kits we made, I remember now, we made a resin metal 3D print hybrid kit, and it was the bridge layer. Hang on a second, I'll show you.
we're gonna have to whip through community models.
Yeah, I was asking Dave. I said, "How are you going to talk for 2 hours?" He's like, "Oh no, man, we fill the time, and sure is crazy. We're almost done, but look at this guy."
Yeah.
So this was a resin, metal, and a 3D print. So these are all 3D prints. This little part was a 3D print.
What's metal?
This was metal right here
All right.
because I had to have structure to be able to handle that. So this was our first hybrid resin metal 3D printed kit.
Right.
And we built this a couple of years ago. And it's a Churchill bridge layer. I was really proud of that one. So
Yeah.
I like all the weird engineering vehicles.
My cousin had the GI Joe battery operated bridge layer. They could literally drive across the bridge and put down. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Oh, so the SnapTray, back to that. So we're running a Kickstarter, backer kit project right now. And basically we've got all these different kits from Victoria Miniatures, from that thing.
Lost Heresy.
MCDM, Knuckle Duster, Lost Heresy. There's some cool Inquisitors, and he's got the Volgorns, which I love. And just so many different models in there. What we were trying to do was show how we apply the technology to so many different product lines, and let people, kind of get a hankering for it. And everything's solid, everything's cured. I engineered a little light tunnel. It's kind of like something that you would see for curing syringes and other UV cured things. I've been working with UV cured adhesives for about 26 years. Right. So I've been through the ringer on those. There you go.
That's awesome.
So Dave, you were right. We talked for 2 hours.
We've still got more.
Do we? Oh, okay, cool.
So we down in the notes below, we've got links to the Trenchworx website, so trenchworx.com. We also have links to a link to the backer kit for SnapTray, so you can go and check that out, find out what is cool. As I said in that slide, there dozens to choose from, $25 each. So loads of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, you pay an entry fee. It's like $15 that covers shipping and stuff, and then everything's $25, whatever you get. And then the artist, so like each artist that's contributing, we pay them a royalty, a nice one, to make sure that their content gets to go onto the tray. So,
yeah, absolutely awesome. So
just looking at that.
Definitely go and check that out. Fantastic. Okay, let us now, Dave. I mentioned that we take a look at community miniatures. We'll go and have a quick run through those now. Make sure I'm in the right spot. I almost started halfway through. Sharing the screen.
I mean, we wouldn't have known.
No. Well, you would have said, "Where's Adams?" Because they do it all alphabetically. Cool. Here we go. So first up, Adam Weller.
Adam's killing it as always. His colors are so good.
Yep.
The pink, the pinky peach tones on the rocks are awesome.
Yep. They are great. Absolutely. And again, lots of warmth, purples, reds, orange through there, and then that little pop of the cool green in the center. Oh, there we go.
That model's great.
Very cool. Beautiful work there, Adam.
I think that's the Snarl Pack boss.
Yeah. I think he's the big boss for the those Goblin Wolf Riders. But yeah, beautiful work, Adam.
Super cool.
Next up, Bing, I think is finished off, or is finishing off the Bad Batch for.
Yeah, this is Hunter.
Hunter, cool. Does he have another knife hidden behind his back or something like that?
No, he fights with a pistol and a knife.
Oh, sorry, I can see it now. Pistols at the front here.
Yeah.
Just I thought he had his arm back.
Oh, you thought he was like doing one of these? No. He has his arm out like this. It's just a bad angle. Like,
right. Cool. There we go. But nice work there, Bing. I think that those red stripes are looking.
He's super cool. So on the outside of his helmet, he has like a skull painted like a stripe, and then he has the left side of his face is painted like a skull. Like he has a face tattoo.
All right. Nice. Excellent. Good stuff, Bing. Next up, Brendan Bell. Brendan's
Trench Crusade action.
Yep, working on some more models for a Trench Pilgrim Force. So yeah, I'll be playing with Brendan and 4 other guys this coming Sunday.
Isn't that the one on the front? Isn't that the, what do you call it, knight? It's like it's the sister who has like all the stigmatic knight, I think.
The Stigmatic Nun. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So,
her headpiece is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, that crest over the helmet there looks fantastic. But yeah, Brendan's been painting these up. His friend Mike Woodward is going to be using these. But
Nice.
Looking good. Very cool. Next up, Cal Vanoni. This is another crazy, wild piece from Cal.
So weird. You're like, it's a cephalopod. You're like, cephalopods don't have bones
or arms, or I also like that because of the graininess in the way that those arms are sort of posed.
Yeah,
this one gave me like really big Sasquatch vibes.
Okay.
Like just like the whole sort of sneaking through the forest. But yeah, nice work there, Cal. Archon Studios, there we go. Archon Studios, crazy beast. Yeah, looking good. Next up, Chris Kemig.
Nice.
Doing some work on some more Imperial Fists for Horus Heresy. Looking good.
Super cool. That helmet's awesome too.
Yeah. That's they're the Mark II bodies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the Mark II body. But yeah. Looking good there, Chris. Is that I wonder if that hammer is from the where's that from?
It's from the melee. It's from the melee weapon sprue.
Right. Cool. Yeah, nice work.
Yeah. Chris does a great job. The weathering is just super subtle. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. Down the bottom of the shield there.
I like the shield like sort of dug into the ground.
Yeah. Yep. Looking good. Nice one.
It's like he's just dropped it.
Yeah. Yep. Cliff Headers.
Yeah. He did these super quick and dirty. He posted like 4 photos.
Yep.
They came out really cool.
Yeah, you definitely have to go and so head to Facebook, into the Build Paint Play community page, and check out how Cliff painted these super quickly. But yeah, they do look great. These are Horus Heresy counters, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Horus Heresy objective set.
Right. Nice.
So
Excellent.
there's like the big ones are objectives, and the little ones are like condition markers.
Okay. Cool.
So you see like the lightning bolt thing, and then there's like the exclamation point. There's the arrow. So it's like you can kind of show what they're doing.
Okay. Hey, there we go. Is the exclamation point surprise?
I don't remember what they all are. I know that I think the arrow is like that unit's broken, or they have to retreat or something.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I don't remember them. There's like 4 very specific conditions you can get. I think so.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's Battle Shock. Battle Shock, I think that's the lightning bolt. Is the Battle Shock.
Okay. Cool. But nice work, Cliff. They look great. Next up, Dave Hummel. Dave Hummel's working on a Corvus Black Star.
Dude, I love this kit.
Yeah.
The Black Star is so nasty.
It is cool. I got a couple of them sitting over here.
I love that model.
Eventually I'll get to them.
I was gonna paint one of these and use it as as a Storm Raven for my Blood Angels, because
right.
I'm not a huge fan of the Storm Raven kit. It looks like a school bus with wings on it.
Yeah.
This thing looks cool. It looks like a big tactical helicopter, which is dope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nice work, Dave. And Dave is also doing some more work on another what am I just blank? Land Raider.
Is it the Prometheus again, I think?
It's the Helios.
Helios, yeah. He has so many Land Raiders.
Absolutely. No, looking great, Dave. I mentioned I did some terrain.
Nice work, Dave.
Yep. So this is the terrain run through. So
obviously the wooden skirts did not do their job here.
Yeah. The same creator that made the Ice 2 that I've worked on here made this one and this one. So 2 sort of destroyed versions.
Those look significantly smaller than the IS2 you painted.
No, they're exactly like the ISU on them is exactly the same size.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And Brendan Bell printed these out for me on a FDM printer. Yeah, so thanks to Brendan for that. And here they are with all the other wrecked tanks.
Very nice.
To print it up. So there's a wrecked FT-17.
Yeah,
there,
sure
Dave.
is.
Very cool.
Definitely cool. So that's
Dave's Red Brigade trying to capture that dragon.
yep, or at least not die. That, and I also painted this cool piece.
Is that a trench shrine?
Yeah. The great part about it is that
Oh, nice. It actually closes. That's pretty cool.
yeah, and you can open it up.
That's cool.
A lot of fun there. So that was my terrain painting exploits for the last week.
Nice.
Great thing with these is basically I hit them with what do you call it? Like a sort of olive green kind of spray from Home Depot, oak brown spray from Army Painter, and then sort of went to town for the rest of it using a nice big brush.
That's why you need at least one tank brush in your collection.
Absolutely. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Next up, Gonzo.
You're working on this weird chaos dragon thing.
He's been painting a lot of stuff lately, so I think he's just had some stuff on his desk that he wanted to get finished. So definitely go and check them out. But
Looks like he's got some Goblin Hut snot going on.
I think so. Yeah. As Dave says, holy nightmare fuel. But yeah, this fantastic beast.
Nice. A little ice drake kind of thing.
Yep. Looks fantastic. I love the icicles hanging underneath the rock there.
That's neat. His wings are super cool too, with them being all ice.
Yeah. Looks great.
I think this stuff is all from Eldritch Foundry, I think.
Okay. Yeah, this one here is kind of a crazy model because it's really tough to get a sense of what's going on. But so I think we've got the head here with the antlers, and then you've got the body is sort of sitting behind this. This is an arm with the wing, the feathers, and then you've got a ridge of icy spines down the back.
That's pretty cool.
And I think this runs along the back of the arm there.
Yep.
But it's really a model that you need to see.
Yeah, it has kind of like a weird, like native deer manticore kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, it does have that kind of feel.
Or
But
chimera. It's like three things mashed together.
Yep. Absolutely. But it's looking cool. And also this wild.
That's Nurgly.
Yeah. It's super ugly, but it feels very dynamic. It's much more dynamic than a regular sort of Nurgle great and clean one.
Yeah, it's kind of like Nurgly and Zinchi.
Yeah. Yep. That thing would be twisting and popping. Those eyes would be popping out of them.
Yeah, like I don't want to hear this thing moving around. That sounds like it'd be awful.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Dave, more nightmare fuel. All of it's terrifying. But yeah, beautiful work there, Gonzo. Loving it. Just as when you find that potato in the back of the cupboard.
Yep. Yeah. It's gone bad for sure. Kill it with fire.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. John Steining doing some more work for his Sons of Horus.
I love it.
Loving the weathering on this. And yeah, I tagged you in a comment.
Oh, I saw the only thing that I've tried to do with all of mine is if you're not careful, they all end up in this kind of like parade rest, like soda machine taking a 5 vibe, where they're just kind of standing there. The newer plastics are so much easier because again, it's plastic. But even with my resins, like I pinned them all, so I have them all moving. It's so hard to get them to do that, especially the old resin ones, because you have to build it in such a way that like everything lines up.
Yep.
But yeah, I love this kit. He just looks the best.
Yeah, looks great.
Easily my favorite dreadnought.
Excellent work, John. It's wonderful. Next up is Luis, doing some more work on his Rhino. So heavy flamer not sponsored, pimple mounted heavy flamer option there.
He showed me some finished photos. He weathered it up. He put some like rust in. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Yeah,
very nice.
So pedal mounted multi-molter on this one. And as we've seen, he's done the detailed interior. So
he did all the rust on the tracks and on the running boards. He did that with the dirty down stuff.
Okay.
Again from Goblin Hut. And he was talking the thing he thought he'd never used it before. And the thing he really liked is that you can let it kind of pool and then you can go back and you can reactivate it if you add water again.
Yeah.
So he did that a couple times to like push it around. That's all the different variations and stuff. But that stuff is like magic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. Beautiful work there, Luis. Looking great. And finally we have Stephen Ryder.
Is that a living ancestor?
That is a living. No, that's not a living ancestor. That's the Tech Marine squad.
So cool.
Yeah. So this guy's from the I guess late 80s.
Yep.
Old.
Yeah. Similar era to your skeletons, Dave.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
I remember seeing this guy in black and white in the back of the White Dwarf in mail order.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good model right there. All metal.
Yep.
It's still, this model holds up. Like this is still a really good sculpt.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yep. I think, it looks great. And of course that, the green, visor there.
Yeah.
It just matches perfectly with the bright red, armor.
Very nice.
But yeah, beautifully done there. Nice. Tech Marine squad. But sorry, I'm just going to skip back for a sec. Dave Hummel has asked, Luis, does that Raven Guard emblem on there, is that a decal or is that hand painted?
Luis is in the chat. I believe that's in the Forge World Raven Guard transfer sheet, I believe.
Okay. Cool.
But Luis will know for sure.
Yeah, let us know. It looks great. Fantastic. Nice work. And I think that is it for, there we go.
That's cool.
That is everything for this week. Yeah, beautiful work there, guys. I just realized as well, I forgot to mention, I have, when we're talking about the metal casting.
Okay, nice.
Oh yeah. Oh, Fritz.
You recognize that guy? So, that's from, I can't remember, where did this end up going?
So there's a story behind that one. So Bill Thornhill and we play every year at Adepticon. We play a game of Mordheim, and I'm leading, by the way, in our win-loss record. And Bill sculpted. Actually, I'm sorry. We walked up last year, 2024, to a table that was managed by Tom Conkle upstairs when we were still in Chicago. And we got to play on it. We're like, man, this is really cool. So we started talking to the guy, and it's this beautiful Mordheim table. And we said, we can make a miniature for you to give out next year when you're doing the table at Adepticon 2025. And so Bill sculpted that. He actually sculpted it like 2 weeks before the show because he forgot. And so I spun him up. I spun several hundred of them. And so everybody that played on the Mordheim table got a copy of Old Fritz. And so we have one lined up for this year, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Nice. Yeah, that's the coolest part is all like the weird random one-off promo stuff you get at the show.
And it was just a freebie. It's like, hey, if you want to come play at the table, and we had our name and stuff on there. And it's Tom's tables. They're just wonderful setup. And so stop by those tables this year, 2026, and you'll get another miniature.
Nice.
There's a couple hundred. So go have
fun. Luis says it was a transfer.
There we go. Yep.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's off the Forge World transfer sheet. But
yeah, excellent.
Well, listen, we're a little bit over. Dave, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was awesome getting to pick your brain and kind of go over all this. And I'm sure that people in the chat were kind of excited to see kind of behind the curtain and see how a lot of this stuff gets done.
Thanks.
And you've done great work for so long, and it's kind of cool for a lot of these people to see you, and hopefully a lot of these people will come by your booth and see you guys at Adepticon, or at least swing by and play some more time, or talk to you at the booth, or say hi at the show. What other shows do you do other than Adepticon?
So we're working with the guys Green Banner Event Company. So we do like Challengers Cup. There's a California Cup. All the stuff out here on the West Coast. Adepticon is the main one. I mean, that's my favorite convention to go to. I love that one.
Same.
And everybody does such a good job. We used to go to Historicon, but it's been a while. I'd like to go back.
Right.
Maybe it's in the cards this coming year. But that really kind of sums up the ones we do. We kind of stay out west, and those are the ones we get to.
Yeah.
So Adepticon, if you want to see us, stop there.
Yeah, definitely swing by, say hi to Dave, and check out everything that's going on. But yeah, always keep an eye on the Trench Crusade website and Trench Crusade social medias, so you can see what they've got coming up, who they're working with. But definitely go and check out the SnapTray backer kit project.
Yeah, that stuff's so cool.
Again,
some
link
fun
down
stuff
below.
in there.
Awesome. So yeah,
Dave, you got anything else for us?
Oh man, I could talk for 3 more hours, even though I didn't think I could do it. But
we can have you on again.
Hard once we got going.
We'll have you on again after the SnapTray project wraps up.
Yeah, just call us in anytime. I enjoyed talking about miniatures and stuff.
excellent. Cool.
Thank you guys.
No
Fantastic.
worries. Anything else, or did I forget anything? Are we good?
I think the only thing we've forgotten to say during the whole show is don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the bits.
Yeah. Do all the things. Outsmart the algorithm. Help us defeat the AI.
Yep.
Well, listen, we'll see you guys next week. Dave, do you want to? Are we teasing next week's guest, or are we going to do that during the week?
We'll do that during the week. We have to put a couple of other nuts and bolts in place.
I get it. That's why I'm asking.
We'll get
Listen, Dave, again, thank you so much for being here, man. It was awesome getting to talk to you. Thank you, everybody, for being here in the chat. We appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you like, subscribe, do the thing. Once the video is posted, if you post a comment or repost anywhere, that helps us out a lot. All the codes are down below in the show notes. You can see Dave's stuff. You can get our code. You can see all the Army Painter stuff that's going on. And if you guys need anything, hit us up. Don't forget to post your minis in the Build Paint Play community page on Facebook. We will see you next time. Stay safe out there. And as always, hang on, Dave, that's something else. Quick time out.
I was going to say, Mr. Baker, don't forget. So just hang out a little bit.
Oh,
Catch you on the other side of the closeout.
Yeah, and next time too, I can do a 10% coupon, Build Paint Play for the next 2 months, and we'll put it on the website. So
there we go, guys. There you go. Everybody buckle up, jump in.
Yeah, I'll give some people some interest.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Tonight.
We'll see everybody next week. Everybody be safe, and as always, do not forget to build, paint, play.
Bye.
Shut up and sit down.